I'd love to tell you there's a backup plan. I'm not really sure right now, so I guess we'll just see what's happening.
Why did you agree to do this interview with us?
There's a good reason for the story from the player's perspective to get out. Too many times there's information that does not get out. I think that confuses fans, that maybe kind of confuses media, that might even confuse the league. So I think it's a good idea to hear it from a player's perspective, especially one that's not doesn't contain any rumor or opinions, just literally what the players have experienced. And I think that's important that people know that.
What drew you to the Philadelphia Soul and Arena Football League? Where did you play? And kind of give us a little background about that.
Well, previously, my journey is quite a bit different than probably most of the other players, if not all the other players. I was actually a rugby player. I played professionally in Canada for the Atlantic Rock. And then I kind of slowly transitioned to American football and kicking footballs, and it was, I was a kicker in rugby and something that I always loved. So that's what I decided to do. I've been on several NFL workouts and CFL workouts, been in and out of a lot of different facilities, and the kind of natural progression was, to eventually get a professional job. So last year I got a job with the Northern Arizona Wranglers, where I was named All-Rookie. I kind of brought the drop kick back into the league. That had been kind of absent for a long time, kind of a hidden rule in the league that kind of gives any team quite a bit of advantage. And then I heard the AFL was coming back. I heard the Philadelphia Soul was coming back. That this is a fantastic organization with a massive fan base. Obviously, Philadelphia, which just sports mad fans in general, which really kind of appealed to me as a player. And I thought I could kind of bring, the best that I had to offer to, one of the best cities in the league. So that really kind of pulled me. And then when Coach Pimmel kind of gave me that call, it just really drew me to the team from what he was saying. So I was really excited to play.
When did you sign with the team?
I signed with the team in January 2024.
January, got you. So you've been...
initially.
Okay, so you've been working out with the team, getting ready. So what was that training like leading up to training camp and then eventually towards game week?
That's right, yeah. So I was training privately with a coach out in San Diego to kind of get myself ready. I was using different types of arena balls and NFL Duke balls, which we were originally told they were the balls for the league. But the balls changed to composite balls, which, not a massive difference for everyone, especially the fans, but for quarterbacks and kickers, it obviously matters quite a bit. And then, went down to training camp for that last week and got set there and was training with the Soul. And the whole time, I was part of the team and involved in the group chats and involved in conversations, talking consistently with Coach Pimmel, who was my head contact there, and sending in film, every week about how I was kicking, how I was doing, and just excited to start the season, to be honest.
So take me back to, you're working out in training camp, getting ready for the season, and then Coach Pimmel resigned. What happened there, to your knowledge?
So what happened was we had a meeting with the general manager, Kelly Logan. It wasn't an announced meeting, but training was at 10 a.m. that morning, which was announced the night before by Coach Pimmel. Training is usually earlier than that, it's usually at 8:30, but it was at 10 a.m., so I arrived at 9:55. There was a meeting already going on with the GM, Kelly Logan, all the players, and several of the coaching staff, and we were discussing some of the things going on for the next weekend, so that game against Louisiana, and what was going on. Some players voiced their concerns over some of the issues during that meeting, but not all our concerns. I don't really need to get into it maybe right now, but some of them were to do with housing, and some were doing with the fact that there was no trainers at practice that week present. And one of the big concerns was that there was only one-way flights booked to Louisiana. We didn't have return flights booked. So we kind of concerns about that. Kelly Logan addressed those issues with he's working on it, and that he will let us know Thursday by 4 p.m. or maybe at the latest 6 p.m. on Thursday, that he would get back to us with some solid answers. And then we went out of that room, we entered the field, we put on our cleats. I started kicking almost immediately because I tried to get my kicks in before the rest of the team started warming up. Coach Pimmel brought us in for together kind of within about 5 minutes after that meeting. We all got together with him, and he announced that he was going to step down from the team for a multitude of reasons. It wasn't just about the situation that the team found themselves, but it had to do with personal reasons and family reasons on his end. So he explained that to us. It was kind of a shock to everyone, to be honest. I'm not even sure if the coaches knew anything about it. It just hit us very hard. And obviously very disappointing because Coach Fimmel had done the majority of the recruiting. And I think everyone's kind of excited to play for him, and their loyalty was with him. And then they all of a sudden got hit with he's gone, and then he nominated Coach Vena as the interim head coach or the next head coach. And so it kind of went from there. They had a quick coaches meeting, and they announced who the new coach is going to be, and we kind of just went from there. But yeah, kind of a little bit in shock from that meeting, and that was our last practice to date, actually. So,
what day was that? You said your last practice?
That was Thursday. So it would be April 25th, I believe. And we didn't really practice that day. We kind of just did through some run-throughs because there was kind of question marks over insurance and workers' comp. It was said to us by coaches there that there was question marks, and they said they weren't sure. And the practice facility obviously has walls on it too, which there was some issues going on. So I think we kind of collectively, as coaches and players and staff, just made the decision not to do a full contact practice and just mainly do a walkthrough. So I just went through my kicks as normal. It didn't make a big difference to me either way. But that's kind of how the practice went down.
Did you stay at the team hotel at the motel?
Yes, I did.
And what happened with that situation when essentially the players got kicked out and had to retrieve your belongings later on? What happened with that?
Well, they asked us to move all our belongings to the fourth floor into one room. It seemed to be because the hotel, and I heard this from a player and a coach, that the hotel wasn't booked for that weekend because we were supposed to be in Louisiana, which makes a lot of sense. And then we were supposed to be going to apartments after that, but they weren't booked, apparently, the apartments for us or the accommodation. So they asked us to move our belongings into that. And then as things kind of broke down on the Friday, we kind of weren't getting confirmation about flights. We weren't getting confirmation about the bus. We just didn't know a lot of answers. And then when some players tried to retrieve their belongings, for whatever reason, whether they wanted to bring them to Louisiana with them or other reasons, that's when the hotel kind of said, we're not opening the door. There's a bill that hasn't been paid, and we kind of require payment for them. And then that's when several players, a few minutes later, decided to get the police involved. So the police turned up and basically said, you can't hold people's personal belongings as collateral, and so you kind of have to open the door. So that luckily they were able to resolve the situation fairly quickly then, and kind of get all that sorted, especially for the guys who had all their belongings inside that one room. So that's kind of briefly how that went down.
I'm on my way home from the airport because I didn't. I got to the airport. I got to the gate. There was maybe one or two players there. There was no coaches. There was no staff. We didn't get on the airplane. We didn't hear anything from the coaches. We didn't hear anything from the ownership. We didn't hear anything from the GMs. I texted the GM a bunch of times to kind of see what's happening. I didn't have anyone else's number. Our head coach was not there. He unfortunately had to retire/quit the other day. Didn't really know the new head coach, who was just appointed that day because we didn't really have a practice either. We had a bit of a run through again for a bunch of different reasons. So yeah, I'm still in Philadelphia.
And you posted a video that, of course, was widely shared on social media, kind of breaking down. You said you got to the airport and, you know, the flights. You seen there was a couple players. Can you explain a little bit more about that video when you got to the airport and you essentially didn't get on the plane?
Yeah, so I was on my way to I was waiting actually for the bus because we were told the day before that there was going to be a bus that was going to show up at 4 p.m. at the Super 8 motel that we're going to be picked up on in Mount Laurel. And our checkout time for the motel was 11 a.m., so I was a little bit concerned about waiting around for 5 hours, but we were mostly fine with it, considering everything else going on. So the bus didn't show up at 4 p.m. There was no bus. So I made the decision to go there myself. I said, you know, I'm going to make every effort I can to go play this game because I want to play. So I got my car and I drove there, and I parked there and I paid for parking and I went in. And I actually also didn't know how to pick up my ticket. I didn't have a ticket. So I kind of rushed around the airport kind of asking a couple of staff hey, like, this is the situation. I'm a player and I don't have a ticket, but I think there's a ticket. Again, I texted Coach Kelly Logan, but hadn't heard anything about it, about how to get my ticket. So I went up to the check-in desk with American Airlines. They said, yeah, you guys are flying out at 6:45 p.m. I said, actually, there's 22 of you booked for flights. It's the rest of your teammates here. And I said, I really don't know. But I'm not sure based on what I saw. But again, I didn't want to speak any rumors to this guy or, like, you know, assume anything, but I really didn't know. I saw a bunch of people leave the motel, but I didn't know where they went. So he said, you know, there's 22 bookings, so I can book you a flight, but if there's the rest of them, I mean, what do you want me to do with this flight? And he said, are you the leader of the group? And I said, I'm not. And he mentioned a few other players' names, and he was like, are any of these guys the leader of the group? And I said, I really don't know. I was like, I know that guy's my quarterback. I know that guy is a DB. You know, that guy is an offensive lineman, the people who he's naming out. And he said, look, here's what I can do. I can book all you guys tomorrow on another flight if that works better and you can get everything in. And I said, well, I haven't really heard anything from my coach, so I really don't know. And he's like, well, I can issue your ticket and, you know, you can do what you want to do. And he did, and I went up to the check-in desk and there was, I went up to the gate and there was no players present. There was no coaches present. There was no staff there. And I just got the feeling that, like, no one was getting on the flight. So then I texted the holder and snapper that I knew just to see what their plan was, because I was thinking if I don't have a holder and snapper, I'm probably not going to be able to kick or drop kick at all during the game. And they, at that point, they had both basically said that they weren't going to be there and they weren't going on the plane. And I just kind of made the decision that this wasn't going to happen, and clearly the game wasn't going to go ahead because there's no players going to this game other than me. And so at that point I kind of left the airport and decided to kind of, I guess, tell my side of the story.
Was there any communication after all of that went down, you know, like not getting on, like you just mentioned, not getting on a plane and having to go back home? Was there any communication with whether it was the GM, the owner, or even the commissioner?
No. So I did not have the commissioner's number, did not have the owner's number. This is the same person. I had the GM's number. I texted him. At that point, I texted him 3 times, and I didn't hear back from him. And we also have an app that we use to communicate with just the team, and there's no communication in that app either.
What were you thinking about? Were you sure that, is this game going on? Does that mean that I'm released from the team? Kind of know thoughts like that could come up.
I was sort of full sure I was going to play. I was full sure we were playing. I was like, this Philadelphia Soul. We're playing a football game, and we're going to win. Like, that was drilled into my head. I saw the talent that was on the field during practice, and I saw how good we were. I felt very confident. I felt very prepared, kind of in my own performance. So very excited to play, and it kind of it was a bit surreal. Like it wasn't none of it was really kind of sinking in at the time. But I was like, I think people kind of got to know because I had people that were coming to watch me play. And I had people that were asking for live streams. A lot of people from Ireland in particular were all asking for live streams. A lot of people from Canada, where I played and lived for a long time, were all asking me, how do I watch this game? So I figured I owe it to people to kind of tell them the story, but wasn't really sinking in that we weren't actually playing. And then I was kind of sitting in my car afterwards, and I just kind of started to get angry, to be honest, and just kind of like, this is kind of really frustrating. Like I really, really wanted to play, and I just thought to myself, you know what, this might happen, this might not happen. Maybe I'll fly out tomorrow. Maybe I'll still be at the game. Maybe everyone will be at the game. This is going to be fine. So how can I be most productive right now? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to keep fit and keep active. I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to find a place to stay. So my thoughts kind of went straight into kind of taking care of myself because we didn't have anywhere to stay. There was no accommodation. The Super 8 obviously weren't going to take us back in. So I was very lucky to have a friend that lived in a nearby city that wasn't too far away that I could drive to and stay there, and that I could still be available for Philadelphia. So I didn't really... I was trying not to think about it too much, just kept on thinking like, no, we're going to play, no, we're going to play, no, we're going to play. That was kind of in my head.
So I want to kind of expand on what you just mentioned about not having a place to stay. So was the staying at the team hotel, was that your main place to stay? You didn't have anything locally to live?
No, that's right. We were all staying at the Super 8 motel. That's where the team was centered. There was several local guys in the team that weren't staying there. They were obviously local to Philadelphia, but the rest of us were all centered at Super 8.
What's going to be the status for this week's game? Are you planning to play in this game?
I don't know, because I don't know if there's going to be a game. Not because of my own personal preferences. I'm contracted to Philadelphia. I plan on honoring my contract. That's how I was raised. That's how you do things where I'm from in Ireland, and I know a lot of places as well where everyone's from the US. You kind of honor what you said. You honor what you signed. I like being a man of my word. I'm ready to play. I'm excited to play. I don't know if we're going to play. I've been told by one source that there is a game that is going ahead on Sunday, and we're going to try and play. But in that same source, they've said, we'll know more by Thursday. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now. That's kind of how I feel. I'd like people to know that the players themselves have been putting up with this for 3 weeks. And they've been terrific. They've been martyr level. They've been very diligent in their training, ultra professional, very high level athletes, and they've been dealing with what seems to be lots of aspects of training that was missing, including trainers, proper nutrition, proper hydration, lots of things like that. And we've been still training really, really well, and very excited to play, and very passionate about playing for Philadelphia Soul. And it's just really unfortunate that this has happened, and that a lot of the stick has kind of come down to the players, or the people who lose out the most seem to be the players. I'm very lucky because I had somewhere to stay nearby, but there's players there who haven't had somewhere to stay nearby, and they've been stuck in a much worse situation, or they've had to buy flights to go home, or buy bus tickets, or whatever it may be. And I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but I'm just saying that's what happened. I don't know the exact stories, and I'll let them tell them if they want to tell them. But I think it's important to think about the players at this moment, and not just about the league. I'd like people to think about, the actual people who are involved here, and the sacrifices that are being made by the players, especially, being excited about it, a lot of them signing, in January or February. And then to kind of come to this sort of situation where we haven't even got to play a game yet.
Do you have a backup plan for you just in case nothing else works out?
there's never really a backup plan, because if you have a backup plan, you're never really fully committed to, plan A. So there's always plan A. I'd love to tell you there's a backup plan. I'm not really sure right now. So I guess we'll just see what's happening. I know I've received a lot of phone calls from a lot of different teams in the last couple of days. Again, I'm contracted to Philadelphia Soul, so I'm not sure where that sits with me. I asked Coach Kelly Logan today what that means, and he did tell me he'd let me know later this evening, but I haven't heard from him yet. So that's currently where I stand, and I'm not really sure what the backup plan is. Just that, I want to play football, I want to do well, I want to perform well, and I want to win.